Hey everybody, welcome to week 4 course here. Got the scenery up. This video, the first part here, I'll use the same part in both courses if you're in both courses. So just like we did last week, as long as I say you reply in one of them, we're good to go. But anyway, my quick motivation topic this week is about endurance. I used the running analogies and things like that. You know, those of you here in the course, most of you doing real good in the quizzes and so forth. You know, all of you have been in touch with me at one point or another about, help with the homeworks. So we're doing good on that. But my point about endurance is, sometimes things are difficult and you have to endure it to get through. You also have to have some patience to get through it. Again, I use the running analogies, runners go out, every day and practice. They have patience to finish. If they're going to do 5 miles or 10 miles, whatever it is, regardless how long it takes them, they finish. They don't quit, and so it's a combination of patience and endurance to do that. I got the lone runner here because that's pretty much how I look at it. Because sometimes, you're on your own and you got to do it. And sometimes some of us, maybe we don't finish or we decide to quit or whatever the case is. But you're not always on your own either. I use these couple of pictures here about, you may need help to get along. But, the final point is getting to the finish line, regardless of, it's not about the winning thing. It's about the finishing and I used the race as an example. A 5-mile run or a 5K run, regardless of how long it takes you got to get to the end. And so, like in school here, you got a week. You have to get to the end of the week, and you have to get finished the week. So that's kind of my analogy on that. So I just bring that up because I know sometimes we struggle and so forth, but you just have to make sure you do that endurance and patience and get to the end and actually finish. So there you go. Okay, into the course. Upcoming week here, week 4. Okay, we got you got your discussions. Great work on discussion still. Quizzes, same thing, doing good on the quizzes. And your assignments. Upcoming chapters have to do with separating and retaining employees, pay structure, recognizing contributions with pay. Think about the separating thing. Now this is from my lesson, both Army and working in the pizza world, Domino's, running the stores. It's sometimes depending on the level of where you're at. Like if you're like a manager level and you have like 10 or 20 employees, sometimes it's difficult not to be personal with them. But you have to establish boundaries. Maybe not on a personal, social level, but maybe you should. But thing is, you have to have things in place where, you're just able to, keep people in the right direction. You give them, constructive counseling or whatever you want to call it. Being in the Army, I didn't have a problem with that. When I transitioned, first time I gave somebody what they considered a write-up, they were devastated because they told me, no one's ever done this before. And I told them, well, that's because your previous bosses weren't doing their job. They're supposed to let you know what you're doing right or wrong. And so that's the paper trail. Hey, if somebody, you can do is a monthly performance rate or whatever system you use, where it's normal to be getting a written document periodically, be it monthly or every 2 weeks. I know where my wife works, she gets one every 2 weeks, and they tell her how great she's doing, and if there's this thing that she needs to work on, okay, but you need to improve on this. So that was my thing, and this was years ago. But that's how you don't have any problems when it comes to separation time. If you have an employee who's having problems, they're late all the time, they keep screwing up one particular task or a whole task, whatever it is. The sentence I used to use at the end of every written session was, failure to improve um, or continuing to perform in a certain negative manner, whatever the situation is, can result in termination of employee. So if you put that at the end of all your write-ups, a month later and it's time, okay, you're going to fire somebody, they shouldn't be surprised. And I can honestly say, like, I fired a lot of people in Domino's, uh, and none of them were surprised, and most of them apologized for having to make me fire them. So just keep, so you have to figure out a way to do that. The pay structure, this is interesting. Again, back now, I know we've all heard of $15 an hour thing. So there's two separate things. How do you establish the pay rates? But there's also how much do you pay? I'm just throwing this in as an extra because I seen this back when I first went to Seattle. Now, this is back in 96. And Seattle was pretty progressive. They would do these state pay rates that would um, raise the minimum wage. But that had a negative impact. Even today, it has a negative. You can do some Googling and you'll find some YouTube videos about even today that their minimum wage thing has had a negative impact on small business back there because, businesses go out of business or they have to lay people off. And same thing with when we were doing Domino's, people, they'd raise the rate. The thing you got to look at from a business perspective, it's not just adding an extra $1 or $2. You're also talking about the employer contributions on the tax sides, on the Medicare and unemployment and everything. So if you had a $15 an hour rate, you're really paying 20 something dollars an hour, and so that's where the thing is. So the only way a business can handle that is yep, the only way they can handle that is to either raise prices or cut back hours for people. And that's what we had to do. That's what everybody had to do. Because the other thing you got to look at is people say, oh, these companies make all this money. Well, yeah, they make money because they have hundreds of stores. But at the individual store level, and at your level, you're going to have to look at percentage. Think in percentage, not dollars. I think I mentioned this in other classes you guys may have had with me, but you're looking at percentages. You only got 100% to work with. If at the end of the month the profit is 5%, all right, there's also maybe a manager bonus, which goes into this other chapter. How do you recognize employees? So a lot of businesses, the management at the stores get bonuses based on what the profit is. So they get a cut of the profit. So ideally on a budget, you want to have a 20% profit. But that don't work out for a lot of places. Most places have 5 or 10% or something like that, and then that gets divvied out to a manager, to a supervisor, different things like that. So anyway, so just the point is, there's other factors to consider. And for the two of you that were in the other course, and I explained depending which one you've watched first, the spreadsheets. This again, how do you figure out smart moves to do with opening a new location, implications, things like that are going to be there. Pay rates, rent rates, different things like that. So everything kind of ties in together there. But anyway, so there you go. That was that's that. I'm up to 6 minutes here. Let me see where we at. So okay, and then next week, don't forget you got your final paper. But otherwise, doing good on the quizzes and everything. So I'll do my test question real quick. 6-year-old grandkid and the 2-year-old. You can let me know what you think was going on, and with that, I will we will call it quits here for this week. Keep get in touch if you got anything though. Just stay in touch, and we'll get through this week. And don't forget about that endurance stuff. And you got a week, you got to finish the week. That includes all your things that you're doing in there. So, all right, everybody, take care. Have a great week. Get in touch if you need anything.